swim, but you become better if your team's doing better. Otherwise, you're just sort of walking around going like, I should have picked anything else. I could have just been a fully fledged champion, whereas here I am as like a walking buff bot with nobody to buff up because we do nothing. So you really are hoping that this really strong Lucian army that's really stood the test of time can once again bounce back and really give the likes of Violet and Scott a bit of a problem. Well, let's then load into the Rift here for game number 2, the final game of the night. It's a quick one, as we have only, 2 series to really get ourselves through. It's Violet running it back once again on this Aphelios. He's partnered now by the Lulu, and that Lulu certainly has a few ways to try and be a bit of a hero here with some bruises to buff up and to keep themselves in the thick of things.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a really nice Lulu game. When you're playing Lulu, you really enjoy having a frontliner like Jin Zhao who you can buff up as he just runs through the entire enemy team. Also, just the value that something like a Jin Zhao ultimate is going to be getting this game. Potentially able to avoid the Syndra ultimate, the Lucian ultimate as well. There's just so much damage that can be negated by that pick, and you really do worry for the Direwolves as this game goes later, right? The amount of damage that Bliss have in every lane, as well as the tankiness that's coming through from that Cassante, is really worrying if this game does go to 3-4 items.
Yeah, it certainly is. It'd be an interesting consideration, rather, if it were to go that late. But as we can see right now, it's a nice little bit of vision planted there by Direwolves, knowing that Bliss's bot lane were already in that middle bush. I'm going to go for a cheeky little trade, but it looks seemingly like they've actually come out of that one worse way despite having that heads up. Obviously, you do have the sustain of an army to keep them topped up, despite costing a ton of mana. But they're going to keep going at it as much as they can.
Yeah, the wave control here being very heavily contested in these Enchanter matchups. Whoever really secures that level 1 push is going to be in a better spot, and that very much dictates how the rest of the laning phase is going to go. And we can see why not starting up towards his top side, going to actually clear his Krug. So perhaps doing a full topside base, full topside clear rather, into heading towards his bot side to cover any potential dives or any shove outs that need be. But Lisa is available if he wants to, but instead going to head back towards his top lane as level 2's on.
That's so catastrophic. You can't miss the bubble like that. All that good work hitting level 2 first is completely backfired. You can see now as a result, Shen Zhuan has found himself down, 30%. So he's gone in for one. He's had a crack at it. Hasn't worked in their favor.
I mean, they do get the sums there, Skimmy, so it's not the worst, right? Violet and Scott opting to pop those very early in case any Ignite were to potentially come out to negate that damage if the bubble landed. So it isn't the worst. I mean, Shen Zhuan can heal himself up a little bit with that Nami W, but again, Skimmy, this mid lane Emphas is already under his turret. One combo from death here. Yeah,
I mean, this is almost like the perfect series for Harry, you'd have to say, right? Beats the Orianna, then gets to play the Orianna and dictate the pace again. It's looking quite nice right now, but there's the flash. The Gravitum getting ready to rock and roll. In comes one up with the audacious charge, but this time the prison is fantastic, and Nami makes sure that his AD carry stays alive. Now, Lisa's in the area, does have double buff, as opposed to Why Not now looking to retreat seemingly to his own blue, but doesn't need to do much more than just show his face.
Scott getting very active there to cancel the base of Katsuri, but it's actually a really nice bubble there from Shen Zhuan to actually save the play. If Why Not does end up being able to get off his full combo, Katsuri would have died, so ends up trading the Aphelios flash, which you're actually quite happy getting out this early on, especially since Lisa can repeat gank with the flash of his own.
It certainly can, and they'll have a fair bit of CC, right, to guarantee that the Aphelios, without any mobility in his kit, should be a sitting duck. Let's check in with the top lane whilst we get a chance to, with the cameras currently panned on towards him. You can see that River's going for a bit of a push of his own. Seemingly repeating what was happening in game 1, right? Despite not being the Riven, found himself in a very, advanced position like this all game.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very set favored matchup rather early on in the game. He just has way more base stats, and the regen that he's getting as well with that Doran shield plus his passive makes it so that even an even trade is going to be in his favor eventually. The real question to me, Skimmy, is how this set pick is going to work out of lane. Right, there are a lot of ways that he can get into fights, particularly if they are being front to back, right? He can always throw a Xin Zhao or a Cassante into the rest of his team. But for now, maintaining a pretty firm control of this lane so far.
He certainly is. Lisa making best friends with the jungle right now as he's looking to try and veer his head into top lane, whether or not he can actually get a sneaky invitation to find himself a fight. Not to be the case right now, actually just popping back to mid lane because seemingly Emphasis screaming for help. He's absolutely getting battered in this matchup, and Harry, no worse for wear, has his flash available, has put the TP, but he knows that Lisa is on a ward, so he's not giving anything away.
I mean, Skimmy, Emphas also has no TP, right? Like, he burnt that previously as well. Harry has just been trading so well, and he actually steps up, Skimmy. He's going to take a lot of damage here.
So much damage with that dissonance and working his way to level 6 as quickly as he can, really forcing Emphas back to base and saying, you're going to lose a lot of XP and a lot of CS in the process too. Already down 12. And that is, actually he's cancelled the recall. This is dicey stuff now. He actually needs Lisa just to babysit him in lane because why not's even being called to try and gank and help too.
And the thing is, Skimmy, is none of this is because of jungle attention from the side of Bliss, right? This is all off the back of Harry's performance. And when you have a lane that's being blown out so much like this, Lisa has to sit there. Like you said, he has to sit behind him to farm that wave just in case any potential dives are coming. And suddenly it's a situation similar to game 1 where Lisa is being dragged around just trying to save people as opposed to actually advancing the game and securing advantages for his own team.
Yeah, you sort of get drawn into the drama of your other team or the rest of your team's woes, right? So you can't actually really execute your game plan as cleanly as you would like. He can't contest what Why Not was doing, which is taking all those void grubs for his team. They want to make sure that once again they have a repeat of just absolute domination when it comes to taking down these structures, but there's no vision in the bot lane right now. Lisa is going for Violet, flashing on his head, going for the shield slow. Violet looking to try and fight as best as he can. It's not to be, and first blood goes to where Direwolves.
And they timed that perfectly, Skimmy. If you saw that ward in the pixel bush, it literally just died before Lisa showed on vision. So they take advantage of that window where they know that Jin Zhao is top, take advantage of Violet with no flash and secure first blood.
But Biopanther now with a big wraparound into the mid lane, looking to try and see if he can sniff out any opportunity to take down Emphas. As a result, the shockwave comes out. Bio has the flash. Emphas does as well. Does he even bother to use it? He flashes the Lisa, receives the shield. The two-man scatter the weak back, and he's safe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very surprised he actually makes it out there, but he's so low HP that he is going to have to base and potentially miss this wave as well. So yes, it's a flash for flash, but here you go. Look at that ward there, Skimmy. The second it dies is the second Lisa shows on vision. So the Team Bliss bot lane are getting an illusion of safety, and Lisa just walks right in, uses that flash advantage, and actually holds onto his Q as well to force the flash out from Scott.
Draws him into that false sense of security, right? Oh, the ward's just gone. There's no way that anybody should be here. Psych, and here we are. And first blood just like that. However, though, Team Bliss are still hot on the money when it comes to objective control, right? The Void Grubs down into the first, Drake simply being taken by Why Not on his own. And even if you look at the scoreboard and say, well, it's only one kill, there's no difference between the gold, it still, in a way, feels like Bliss have got their way in this one. They're coasting through the motions. Mid lane is absolutely working in Harry's favor. Bio is maneuvering through this matchup, as you've already coined. And in bot lane, it's like, well, you know, Aphelios is still up and beating this Lucianami.
I mean, that's the thing, Skimmy. The reason it feels so one-sided is this mid lane. Anywhere that Emphas goes, Harry goes as well and is just so much stronger, right? He's already up 20 CS in this matchup. He's forced the flash, and he's got flash now too, right? So the second this Orianna ultimate comes back up again, keep your eyes on mid lane because Harry will be looking. He will be trying to take advantage of this timer where this injury does not have flash.
It's crazy that Why Not shows that he wants the gank, was revealed on vision, wraps around Emphas, says, yeah, just walk back through mid, doesn't matter. Lisa was in the area, but certainly didn't want to entertain the idea of Why Not getting a little bit too big for his boots and having a crack at him, but he's actually gone for the fake flash. There it is, there's the shockwave to start things off. Why Not getting a range to go for that charge on in, jumps to the minion, then goes for the 3-point strike, knock him up and take him down, does Harry, as Lisa rocks up with his best friend and says, maybe I can do some damage, but he's a support without anybody to buff.
And what can you do, Skimmy? The wave's in a horrible spot. They have to take that fight there as the polymorph's on.
There goes the Moonlight Vigil, matched by the ultimate of his own as Ketsuri makes sure that they stay back at a fair distance. But bot lane has had a crack for a fair long time. Lisa just going to rock up to lane and really make his presence known. As he gets that one
just executed. Gives him 50 gold.
See you, Daisy.
Yeah, just hands over Daisy there, ends up going down, and now this is really dire situation. I mean, looking at the mid lane CS, Harry is up 30 farm at 9 minutes, not to mention a kill and a summon to spell advantage as well. So this is absolutely brutal, and we kind of spoke a bit before about Harry's pedigree. I mean, this is someone who's played LCS, right? Emphas has played one split of LCO.
Yeah.
Compared to someone who's been playing in America for the last 3 years, the experience is not even on the same level. So it's going to be rough for Direwolves to claw their way back. They're going to have to find some other avenues that don't revolve around this mid lane.
It really is night and day, and to put it crudely, it almost feels like what international teams do to us when we go overseas, right? Where we get absolutely bullied before the 15-minute mark and suddenly find ourselves down, 10k gold. So it's it's awesome to see that a homegrown talent like this can go overseas, learn that much, come back and be like, well, there's a reason why I managed to make it overseas, right? He's absolutely putting in a solid shift here, and I'd imagine his stats after this one are going to be so inflated because he's absolutely crushing it. Another shockwave, and that's going to be another reset. I mean, Emphasis only just teleported back, and he's going back again.
And that's the thing, Skimmy. It's only one kill in the hands of the Orianna. Scott's caught out.
Tidal wave bubble, easy pickings there for Katsuri. Violet really can't do much more than that. You know he wants to go for that cannon more than protecting his support, and that's what he'll get in the end.
But Skimmy, it's 1-0 in terms of the mid lane kills, but it's just so much more power coming out from this Orianna's. A nice ultimate to perhaps get him away, but River flashes.
Good flash for Flash as well, as River's looking to try and lock him on down. Harry's the focus, but Harry's going to get suplexed into the ground, surrounded by 3. Make it 3.5 with Daisy in the mix of things too. And this is a little bit too much for Harry to try and evade.
It's going better, Skimmy. I mean, River's roaming playstyle actually works there, taking advantage of the flashless Orianna in the mid lane there. Also pressuring one out of his jungle, and normally Biopanther, the one of the macro players. Scott, deja vu.
Scott's just returned to the scene of the crime and finds himself in a very similar circumstance. Very low, self-cast of the Wild Growth, gets himself out, but unable to match the firepower in a straight 2v2. It is worth mentioning, though, after the success they found in mid lane, removing the Orianna has allowed Lisa and Co to actually try and take some of those Void Grubs of their own, deny any of those mites spawning for anybody. So I think this should end up being 3 apiece.
Yeah, and that's big, Skimmy. They are going to take down at least 2 here. They've brought Syndra up as well, and I don't think one is in any position to contest, so you're right, it is going to be 3 apiece here, and suddenly this Ivern, Moonstone completed, is actually able to get stuff done if he's working with this Lucian, if he's working with this set.
This new Moonstone as well, quite interesting, right? The splash effect of that shield applying to a nearby ally if there's nobody else there, then it obviously amplifies the shield on that one key target. A little bit different to how it worked in the past, right? Where it was just more healing the longer you stayed in combat. I kind of prefer it this way, and to be honest with you, but that's a nice power spike for Lisa to find himself jumping into fights with.
It certainly is. Take a look at this bot lane here. Violet is just so strong here, right? He's always got the great gun combinations as well. And he is down a kill, but still doesn't feel like it.
Wouldn't know it.
Able to put a lot of pressure on in this mid bot lane. The pressure's just mounting.
Well, the red and white's still ready to rock and roll. It's why not now getting into the area, but Lisa with good inclination, realizing that, well, I need to take this camp in the bot side anyway, but my bot lane is just reset. And unfortunately, this camp no longer belongs to me because it's a 3v1. We're going to lose plates, we're going to lose jungle camps, and we might actually lose the gold lead that Direwolves have managed to acquire.
Yeah, I mean, when you leave it, Aphelios with a white gun alone with turret, bad things happen if you're the enemy team. So he is just absolutely cashed in there. Going to be feeling pretty good as he goes back to base, but he might have stayed a little bit too long. Skimmy he has flash, but Lisa's behind him.
This does feel a tad greedy right now. What can Violet do to try and get himself out of this one? If he flashes, he's got River to contend with as well. It's 4 members coming at him from 2 different angles. One is going to try and get himself in the fray of things right now. Moonlight Vigil goes across, but it's with the Calibrum right now. He wants to do damage to the suplex in a one-man affair. Wild Growth on his head. Violet trying to live. He's got the barrier, but finally falls on down as River takes him to the grave. Now Harry rocks up to the fight. When does that shockwave come into effect? He might die before it even gets used. 2 kills found from River, and Bio's here maybe a little bit too late. Out go the orbs. There is the scatter, but there is the dash away to safety.
And River is turning it around from his game 1 performance, finds a deep teleport there to be able to find the flank and pull Violet back into what looked like a situation he was going to escape from. He's not done yet though, Skimmy. He's walking to the jungle.
Really slowing them back as much as he can, keeping them all occupied. A polymorph goes out, he shrugs it off. He's got the shield ready to go if he wants to press that haymaker. And he's holding it for as long as he can right now, but perhaps at this late point he is overextended. He'll try and take down Bio in the process, but he's done a little bit too much in terms of keeping that high line. The rest of his team is gone, but he'll fall for the price.
But ultimately, Skimmy, it's actually quite a big swing there from the side of Direwolves, right? That fight going, at least even in their favor, feels really, really good, especially given how bad the mid lane situation was, right? You kind of mentioned it, Harry wasn't able to get too much value out of that fight. The shockwave going out right before he dies, so nullifying one of the biggest advantages that Bliss had.
Yeah, he turned up to the fight there, was sort of really trying to greed out the perfect shockwave, but realized, hang on a minute, I'm actually dying far quicker than I anticipated. Might actually be dying again here, Max, as he finds himself in a fair bit of pressure. That's going to be Katsuri. Not going to try and answer back and help out. It is going to flash away.
And it's a dragon take, really, that saves Harry having to flash there, right? They don't want to chase into the members of Bliss if they were around. As we take a look at the item spikes here, we do have the Titanic Hydra completed for the Jin Zhao. This guy does so much damage now. If he ever gets onto a Nami or a Lucian, he can basically kill them in one rotation now. So not just a tanky frontliner, but also a very strong threat to dive that backline.
Certainly is going to be that hybrid that they're going to have to try and contend with as the item spikes start to come across. Really the board here. Kraken Slayer just picked up by Violet, but he's going to be a lot too late to try and rock up to contest this Herald. Why not wrap it around? The tidal wave is going out. They're trying to greet it as much as they can. He's going to jump in, and they've stolen the Herald. It was that 300 HP for such a long time. Why, Max? Why? Question mark ping all over my screen. What was going on there?
I'm so confused. Why did nobody hit it? I know that Leash's smite was coming just off cooldown, but it felt like Direwolf certainly could have just hit it a couple more times before it died, and now suddenly, Skimmy, it's a kill going over to Team Bliss. It's the Herald as well they're going to be able to hopefully get a second charge with. That's a massive blunder from the side of Direwolves.
That feels almost like a turning point in this game here. It feels confusing, more so than anything, and it's really opened up Bliss a way back into this game, an avenue that was seemingly being closed. I mean, Direwolves are looking a lot more competitive here in game number 2. But the fight's not done yet. In a straight 3v3, they look to fight it out. Crescent Guard goes across, but they jump into his inner sanctum. And one knows who they want. He'll flash away, but Rivers now rocking up from the right-hand side. The culling is going to take him down. Flashed away by Scott to deny Emphis, hitting that stun on his TP entry. And Bliss are running for the hills, and they concede mid lane prio.
Yeah, they do concede, and Syndra comes in, forces the flash here from Lulu. River as well, just finding a fantastic position to get on a flank here. Once again looking, but he has been spotted. Here he goes.
Well, it's a case of really trying to save your team as they're collapsing from left and right. Scott with the self-cast the ult, knocking out multiple members. It doesn't matter. Shockwave burn, that finds nothing. That's the disaster you need, Harry. You're fed. Mid lane to really look to try and do something here. At least take one to equalize the fact that Violet was a sitting duck and taken down for free.
And that's the problem, Skimmy. There's no frontline there with the side of Team Bliss, right? The Aphelios and Lulu are left to fend for themselves. No one's there to peel the set off them. And River, with this stride breaker, has so much movement speed to be able to catch up to the likes of Violet and Scott, as Harry might have been caught out as well.
No, don't say it so. Not going to find 2 kills. A flash across the board. The orb into that brush to make sure this is a safe passage away, but this is a game that's hard to call. Honestly, the gold for the last, 5-10 minutes has been flipping back and forth all over the show, and you're really looking at, the next couple of minutes when Barons and Soul points are being looked at to say, okay, actually, how strong are we when a true 5v5 occurs?
And that's the question, Skimmy. We haven't really seen this proper setup fight yet. At this point, we've only found flanks here, as Chenchuan might be getting flanked himself.
Certainly could be a preemptive flash there from Biopember to make sure that the Nami bubble would not connect. The wave goes out. The ultimate to guarantee that he is going to be taken on through and dodge out any more CC. That is going to be a kill found as easy as they like it. And with 4 members pitched up in mid lane, they might be hunting for a little bit more action.
So they take him down, Skimmy, but the question is they do commit a flash there from Biopanther, and there's not really any objectives that Team Bliss can look towards besides this top turret, right? The TP is going to come out. They are going to use that to set up. But if you're Chenchuan, you're happy taking the death there if it means Cassante has no flash for the next team fight.
You'd have to imagine so. I mean, clearly they've put themselves, headlights on and looking at River and saying he's 4-on-1. This set's a little bit out of control right now. We need to make sure that we put all our attention into this lane and prevent that one from steamrolling any further than it is already. But you're really hoping the rest of these laners, like the Syndra, can start to really come online, right? And the orb, the execute comes on through, and you're suddenly saying, well, any pick that the set finds, they're gone.
Yep, and now the question for me, Skimmy, is vision control here around this Dragon Pit, right? You can see that neither team have really set up too well. They are both coming in to try to get that initial layer of wards down, but particularly when you have a champion like Set, and especially with how River likes to play, having a flanking ward can mean all the difference, right? It's between him being able to get onto your AD carry and him not. If he finds Violet in any of these fights, they have so much CC, they have so much damage that you'd imagine he will just get one shot even through a wild growth.
I mean, credit where credit is due. They've been pretty on point with their flanks thus far this game, right? So if that can continue, then you'd imagine they can certainly keep themselves going forward into a late game 3-4 item position. All the bushes being planted right now by Lisa in the mid lane, making it very dicey as to whether or not you want to face check that or not. Just make it annoying for the vision toggle as well, actually forcing out a ward to be placed there by Bliss, which will now be denied. Firewall's going to group themselves up, looking here for the third dragon. They've not been able to find one yet. They're going to try and fight for this one, though, because why not found Emphis? Forced out the flash. That might be him done. The Syndra may no longer be an active participant in this fight. River there with the poly, with the shield, with the damage being locked on down. The Haymaker comes out, gives him a little bit of mitigation. The bubble knocking up Bio. He goes unstoppable, but it does not matter. Set eventually falls on down. I don't know what it is. Is it indecisiveness, or is it, you know, the carries on Direwolves being too low to back River up?
Kimmy, Bliss just played that fight perfectly. They play it so slowly. Direwolves want that explosive fight. They want to be able to pick one member off, but Bliss simply never gave them the opportunity. They chase slowly as Violet flashes forwards.
Certainly does. He's looking to try and land at Garrison once again to set stuff up, but it's not to be the case there. Doesn't have enough damage to try and take down the kill. And has to wait and watch as Nami waddles away.
As we take a look at this again, Skimmy, look how slow the chase is, right? There's no instant committal. Why not goes in, chunks out Emphas, forces the flash. Chench one's chunked out as well, and they back off. And then suddenly River is left by himself in the middle of 5 members. No one commits onto him. They just slowly chase him down using that Orianna QW, using that Violet Graviton gun, and then suddenly the health bars are too low. They take down River, and they put themselves on sole point.
But it just feels like in that fight there, the Emphas, all the early attention onto him, he was zoned out, had to play so defensively from afar, so not really truly utilising the central toolkit. And you see Katsuri there hitting the culling, but it's only really going on to Biopemp, who's kind of just laughing at that damage.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in multiple games how much a culling does to Cassante, and the answer is not very much. Especially Biopanther here, sitting on that Iceborne Gauntlet with all the health that he has as well. He's going to feel very comfortable here. There's a bit of vision play happening around this mid lane here, but all the control towards Baron is in the hands of Bliss.
I did hold my breath there for a second, wondering if anything crazy were to take place in the mid lane, but Violet does get away this time. To say that Dire will stop him because River's face shaking. I'm going to see what he can find. He'll find himself a few members of Bliss waiting in these bushes, as well as some walls as well, making sure that Bliss have the walled line vision in their favor. Haymaker going out right now. Emphas not actually there. You can see in the top left of your screen, he's actually pushing out the top wave, so the Wolfpack doing whatever they can to try and keep Bliss at bay, but they do have first move, and Baron is right there.
Yeah, this is quite bold, Skimmy. I mean, they might start hitting it just to hit it, but in terms of items, they're not really at a point where this Baron gets one shot. It does go down decently fast if Orianna's DPSing it, but I think they're doing this just to bait. It is red-white. The Baron fights on.
Now goes to Culling, tickling on to Bio right now. Out goes to Suplex, taking down Bio. That's the best case. Target, 2 members locked in place. Daisy knocking them up. Bio getting lower. River still in focus. The Baron still engaged, reducing their resistances. But it was, as you say, never really a true Baron fight. It was just more a case of baiting out summoners and ultimates. And I think Direwolves will be quite happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. You lose the flash on set, which is pretty annoying, but you ultimately stop the Baron and you do have the inside track on mid lane, right? So you are able to get this turret in a trade. Now, the question is for the Direwolves, how are they going to respond in 2 minutes? Because once that Baron's up, once that soul point is up as well, the Orianna and Aphelios are going to be able to shred both of these objectives. So you have to make sure your vision control is so on point to not allow this team a minute alone with either of these objectives.
Absolutely. I mean, they have a ton of damage to try and shred that one down as well. So even if it isn't a case of sneaking it in as easily as it would be with other compositions like the Cassiopeias or Callistas, there's certainly no shortage of that. Storm Surge now being completed here by Harry. So between that as well as the Archangels, there's a fair bit of damage ready to rock and roll for some pretty meaty shockwaves to land. Let's see though, because you certainly would imagine that everything's going to be a little bit quiet. Lanes being attended to, gold being scrounged up, and item spikes trying to be achieved. Unless Shen Zhuan just gets isolated like this. Why? How? Why not takes him down? Redemption goes across. Too little, too late.
And that's exactly what I mean, Skimmy. It's this Xin Zhao. Yes, Violet does a lot of damage, but the combo from the Xin Zhao is able to just one-shot him from about 60% HP. And suddenly this Nami Lucian don't look anywhere near as threatening anymore, Skimmy. The effective range that they have to play in to actually be able to deal damage is so dangerous. They're always putting themselves in danger of an Orianna shockwave, in danger of being hit by Aphelios. And yes, Katsuri is really fed, but how does he actually hit anyone?
He's opted for a slightly different build this game, right? We've got the Presty attack with the Kraken Slayer, so it's all about doing as much damage as you can on an identified, or on a single target rather, as opposed to sort of like the old school days of the first strike, Nami with the, what was it, rapid fire cannon, just one-shotting people to almost match the range that you're talking about. So yeah, 3-0-3 looks good, but Violet, despite being 0-3, is bringing a solid amount of damage himself.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the Infinity Edge online. He has a Lulu with Ardent Sensor buffing him up. So in terms of comparative power, these AD carries are almost parallel. And Skimmy, there's 30 seconds on this Dragon here. River's not here to set up, and the only place he can really flank TP is that minion wave down in bot lane.
He's coming.
But look where he is. He's quite deep down mid lane here.
He's done the massive wraparound all the way from top lane into mid. He's got the pick of the litter. Who does he decide to go for right now? He's got a spike on Violet. He's going to go for the suplex surely on towards him. Slam him down to Bio's head. Violet's in trouble, but he's living. He's still alive with the wild growth there. It does not matter. Shinjuan doing whatever he can. And finally, Violet falls and down. He had flash in about 5 seconds. It is a tragedy, to say the least. Harry gets 2, procs the Archangel's shield, stays around a little bit longer, gives his shield across to Bio, who's stuck in a bit of a rocky hard place. Oh. Big flash! But Memphis denies it, and the fight fizzles out.
I mean, crucially, Skimmy, it ends with the jungler of Direwolves being alive with Why Not dead, so there is a smite in favor of the Direwolves. That means they can head towards this dragon. But that's a TP coming in, Skimmy. In fact, that's 2 TPs coming in, both solo laners of Bliss, here to contest this soul point.
And they know they sort of a vision ward of their own as they go onto this dragon. Team Bliss want this for the taking. This will be 4 dragons back to back. A one-man stun good out from Memphis. In jumps Panther, knocks them back into their grasp. And Scott takes them down. Thank you so much for the leash. We'll be taking this.
Yeah, those double TPs from the side of Bliss proved to be too much. Memphis with no flash can't do anything against K'Sante. And with 1 man down, Team Bliss have their eyes set on this Baron.
Yeah, from Baron to, well, from objective to objective, really. From Dragon to Baron they go. This is the perfect play when you're in a late game scenario, right? To get the Infernal Soul with that on top of it, you'd be feeling pretty confident about your ability to close out this game. But how do Direwolves answer back? Would they dare contest in a 4v5?
There's a TP available for Memphis in 8 seconds. If he can get that, he can rejoin the fight. All they have to do is buy time until then.
Here we go. River looking for it right now. He's going to try and do whatever he can, but a fantastic polymorph denies his entire game plan. The suplex onto the Baron himself. He's taken down Bio, but he's still standing. They're still contesting. Well, why not low? It's so much harder now for him to blast on his way in for that smite kill. Would he even dare entertain it? No! He's jumped him now. The Baron's gone. But why not still living? The Haymaker taking out 2. Standing in the middle, it does disgusting damage. But then it became Harry against the world. Stunned and aced.
Whatever they are paying River, they need to double it. This man is putting the Direwolves on his back right now. He starts that fight, throwing K'Sante into Lucian, forcing him out of the fight. Look at the way this starts, right? It's a 4v5. Look at River's positioning here. He enters the pit. He waits for the K'Sante W to finish, so he'll actually be able to throw him into Violet, who has to flash immediately. And then look at this Haymaker. Instantly kills Biopanther. Yes, he's tanky, but you can't survive 1,000 true damage being shot in your face. The Baron ends up going down to the side of Direwolves, and another one Skimmy right here. This Haymaker is huge.
That's disgusting. I mean, the audible reaction for me when that happened says it all, really. But this is fighting spirit from Direwolves. Given the way game 1 went, to see it really materialize in this kind of fashion, it's a scrappy game, but it's one that the viewers can really get, absorbed in.
It absolutely is, Skimmy, and what was an Infernal Soul in the back pocket of Bliss, an almost overwhelming advantage, has certainly equalized here with this Baron. In fact, Direwolves maintaining a 3,000 gold lead at this point in time. Feeling pretty happy with this game state, especially given that there's no flash available for this Aphelios.
Well, it becomes an interesting affair now, Max. I suppose I'll chuck out the question to yourself as to, scaling and all the rest of it, because you were looking at that for, Bliss is a strong factor. Not to discount that for Direwolves, but I look at the itemization of River. I am terrified. I'm thinking, is there even a chance for Bliss to say, yeah, 3-4 items? Because it feels like Direwolves have just not lost their gold lead, despite losing, all these dragons.
Yeah, absolutely. They still feel very in command, especially with these Baron-empowered minions. And to me, Skibby, the set makes this game so scary for any of these carries on the side of Bliss because, yes, they scale very well, and yes, I would say they even outscale in this game, but set really messes up the way they want to play these team fights, right? Whether he's coming from a flank or whether he's just going a front to back, throwing your own top laner into you, this set is going to one-shot your AD carry if he gets onto him. So how do you play Shenchuan?
Talking about one-shots, Nami. I mean, Shenchuan really just saw his life flash before him. It went white for a second, then he realized, I'm still alive. No grey screen here just yet. Fairly successful Baron play overall, though, up by 3,000 gold as a result of it. Out goes the ultimate, the Moonlight Vigil. One-man grabs him, gets through the focus, but he can just dash away. The redemption, the pocket, the protection from Lisa. It's enough for him to turn around and say, actually, I'll be the one doing the damage, as he hits them back with a culling.
And meanwhile, in the bot lane, Skimmy, River's able to force Biopanther's ult out and actually able to force him off the wave as well. doesn't end up using his own ult, and there's a ward in mid lane. If he wanted to TP to it, he's resetting now. This feels like a River play to go for.
Let's see what they decide to do. They're back and grouped up and ready to rock and roll once again. You can see, really, both teams just really trying to hope for the best, I suppose, of anything. Of can we try and eke out a flash difference? Can we try and get some kind of advantage we can find here? Because Wynot's popped across. He's found himself a lonely mid laner. And Emphis is going to do as much as he can to try and equal out that one. But you said it, with this item build, he's the carry.
That's a bruiser, by the way. Can I just say, look at his items. He has Titanic Hydra and Sundered Sky, and he is absolutely one-shotting Emphis. Nothing he can do. That will definitely put at least a bit of a temporary halt onto the plans of Direwolves to shove out these waves, as River almost finds Scott there. But again, Skimmy, it's so hard for this Syndra to play into this Jhin Zhao. He's going to be one-shot every single fight. He will likely be respawning by the time this Elder's up, but this death time, it means that Harry's able to do this. He's able to get this turret and get even more gold into the back pocket of this Orianna.
Really, they're going to try and pick up the pace of this one and make sure they can reach that mid to late game part of the game to really feel a little bit more secure, I suppose, more than anything, as to their chances in this game. It's about to become an even gold state, although gold at some stage does become less of a talking point. But I guess, you know, throwing out the discussion that we didn't really get a chance to talk about in terms of scaling, do you think Direwolves, their scaling is noticeably worse or comparable compared to that of Bliss?
I mean, whenever you're staring down the barrel of an Aphelios with a Lulu behind him in such a good front line, you always have to put the scaling in favor of that team. I think Syndra and Orianna scale comparably well. The only difference is that Orianna is so far ahead this game. I mean, he's up 70 CS. It's not really close in terms of levels either. As River TP's in, he's going.
He certainly is going, maybe a little bit too early because Scott hit the Shirley's to try and start things off in their favor, but down goes River. That's the man they need. He was the carry, and he was the main character. But unfortunately has fallen far too early. It looks like his team weren't even ready for that.
Yeah, they just TP's in to die instantly. Doesn't even manage to throw Biopanther because the Cassante was channeling the W at the time. And now that you mentioned that, Skimmy, there is no engage really left for this team. Biopanther's TPing behind.
He's on the flank. Now it's his time to try and pretend to become a bit of a set cosplayer. Out goes the Shockwave, down goes the Nami. In goes Violet and gets a kill of his own. They found two. And now it's Lisa and Emphis. Emphis with a fantastic stun away. Looking to try and hold the line for what is going to be an agonizing 40 seconds.
There's 40-second death time is Skimmy, but the wave is pretty far away and they don't have a Baron to buff up these minions. There is a world in which Syndra and the Ivan are able to clear this, but Wynot's on the side. He's doing his best to zone them off the wave so they don't have a chance to hit it.
Baron buff or not, they are going to walk straight down the mid lane and claim their prize, which is an inhibitor, with some help from those minions as well, just to do the final bits of damage. But they managed to find the success they were after. They can disengage away from this one and look and even tease at the idea of Elder and Baron. The only concern for me is, do they have gold that they can look to try and capitalize into items right now? Given that it has been so close, Direwolves can look to try and even out those odds at the Baron.
I mean, Skimmy, they're going to pick up this Elder Dragon, and the problem is that the Direwolves don't have that AD carry with them for this Baron, so it's going to go down very slowly. Bliss should be able to base and reset in time. There is a TP available for Orianna if he needs to come in as well.
They've stopped.
So they're not able to get this in trade, Skimmy. That's just a straight Elder Dragon in the pockets of Team Bliss. As we take a look at this fight again, look at River. Look how far removed he is from the rest of his team, right? Yes, he finds an angle onto Violet, but who's actually able to go forward, right? He's playing with 4 ranged characters, champions that need to peel back and play within their respective range. So he just goes too far forward and is picked off, and then there's no one to stop this onslaught from Bliss.
That's a great call by yourself there onto the CC immunity that Bio had at that moment, right? Make sure that really you're grabbing absolutely no one and just dying as a result. He soaks it all up, goes back to base, TP's back in and says, my time.
Yeah, and then he just finds his own flank and Chench one. Feels like he's been one-shot almost like 6 times this game and finally does go down to it there. But luckily the wave was a bit far removed from the base, or else it could have been a lot scarier of a situation for the Direwolves.
Certainly could have been. One cool little itemization I've just picked up is the fact that one has just gone back to base and picked himself up the Serpent's Fang, which is going to be fantastic in shredding all the shields that Lisa is able to provide. Also, I suppose, to a lesser degree, onto River as well, and make sure that they aren't going to be anywhere near as tanky as they have been thus far. So they're going to pick up the Baron. They've got themselves the Elder. Bliss really are at peak power.
Yeah, they have a lot of time here to play with here. They have to just corral these lanes in here. You can already see Var heading towards this top lane to prep that wave as well. They won't have the bot lane one, but certainly going to be more than happy to play off 2 lanes here. And now the responsibility becomes on those with the sweeper to ward out any flanks here. River's TP is coming up soon, and realistically, that's the only way you can lose a fight at this point in time, is if one of your carries is able to get picked up. But right now I'm staring down a 4-item Orianna and almost 4-item Aphelios. This is a tough affair for the Direwolves.
It is a tough one, but they've been able to prove us very differently in this game this far. River looking to try and hold his own into mid lane. He's certainly given Biopanther a bit of a headache this game, but into an Elder and a Baron may be a step too far. That's already exposed with supers coming down. The tidal wave going across, trying to lay the inevitable, but that is going to be a second inhibitor lost in the top lane now too. And with all those buffs this time, Max, surely the idea of ending the game becomes that much more desirable.
Yeah, they're going to just be hitting his turret. Shockwave's onto Lisa.
Shockwave, he's not died, he's just barely lived outside of execution range. Oh my god, the Elder has just expired. He just hung on for dear life. Katsuri with the culling, dancing away, receives a shield for all this damage they're receiving. They've forgotten the cardinal rule. Your base is broken. Their game is done. It's a clean 2-0 for Team Bliss.
It was a good game from the Direwolves. It looked like they had much more fighting than in game 1, but ultimately, Bliss remind us, and remind Direwolves especially, that they are the kings of this region for a reason. And yes, it's a bloodbath, but ultimately, they come out victorious and take the 2-0.
Entertainment galore, that was for sure. It was a fantastic game, really keeping us on the edge of our seats as a caster. Actually not really understanding who was going to take the win. I was confused at times, not sure really which way that game could go, but Direwolves proving, as we've already coined them, the wild card. They certainly gave Bliss a few moments to worry in that one. But that does it for the series. We're going to jump to a quick break, and when we return, a wrap-up of that series. Himself in the fray of things right now. Moonlight Vigil goes across, but it's with the Calibrum right now. He wants to do damage to the suplex in a one-man affair. Wild growth on his head. Violet trying to live. He's got the barrier, but finally falls on down as River takes him to the grave. Now Harry rocks up to the fight. Where did that shockwave come into effect? He might die! Why not wrapping around? The tidal wave is going out. They're trying to greet it as much as they can. He's going to jump in, and they've stolen the Herald! It was that 300 HP for such a long time. Why, Max? Why? Question mark ping all over my screen. What was going on?